All right. Hello, everyone. Very good morning. Welcome to Global Azure.NET 2022. Uh, this is the session Unlock the Potential of Azure Static Web Apps. Give me a moment, please. All right. So today we'll be talking about the Azure Static Web Apps and we'll unlock its complete potential. All right. So I'll be taking the content from the internet, a repository from internet, and we'll deploy an application onto Azure and we'll see its potential. Regarding myself, who am I? I'm co-founder and head of engineering at Nivi.ai, solutions architect at Tech RBM. I'm Microsoft certified Azure developer associate with 10 plus years of industry experience. And I'm an open teacher and a continuous learner. Disclaimer is here that the content of this presentation is not my own and is taken from the Microsoft community, GitHub, and from the other sites of on the internet. Big thanks to the community, especially to John Papa for helping providing the content of this presentation. We'll learn about Azure Static Web Apps. We'll create one static web app in one of the technologies, either Angular or Vue or React. I'll share the repository where we have all the code available. We'll be connecting APIs hosted on the serverless. I'll showcase you how you can, like how and where the serverless APIs reside alongside Azure Static Web Apps. We'll be publishing the content on the Azure, okay? And we will leverage Visual Studio Code for everything in this. All right, so moving further, what is Azure Static Web Apps? Well, Azure Static Web Apps is a hosted service provided by Microsoft that allows you to host all kinds of applications, like including which are static applications, and that can be powered by the serverless Azure Functions, which means you can deploy the complete full stack applications onto the Azure Static Web Apps. And whether it is React, it is Svelte, it is Vue or Angular or plain JavaScript, it can run on Azure Static Web Apps, and behind the scenes it can be attached to the, you can make calls to the API using the Azure Functions. And all the heavy lifting is done by Microsoft for you, which means you can very easily set up the CI/CD, making use of Azure DevOps pipelines or the GitHub Actions, and which can directly, as soon as you make the changes in your PR, it will go deploy your changes onto the static content and you can connect to the APIs. Real quick, jumping on what we are going to showcase today. So I'm going to showcase you a website which will be looking like this, which will be a super simple shopping site. I would say, just have the we will be having the authentication, and what happens is you would be having your code on GitHub. That code is actually like we push it onto the GitHub. Then the CI/CD runs, the GitHub action runs, which will build your application. If it is React, it will push the changes into a dist folder. Angular application push the changes into the dist folder, and from the release we will pick the changes from the dist folder and we'll push it onto the Azure. Then further it connects to the APIs, like I said, serverless APIs, and using the Angular application or the front-end application can make requests to the APIs. We will show you that we can attach the custom domains. We can have the free SSL. We can also have the authentication. We can implement roles and all, like you can implement Azure AD login. You can implement login with Twitter or GitHub or any kind of social logins. And you can also scale your application at global scale. This means all you need to do is to focus on your business logic. You do not need to think about CI/CD. You do not need to think about implementing the SSL, you do not need to think about whether you need a SSL for let's encrypt or something else, right? It is done for you. All you need to do is you need to just focus on your application, your business logic, what you have to do. Okay. And ultimately, standard enterprise grade application which can scale on demand will be ready for you. Okay. So it can be Angular, it can be React, it can be Svelte, it can be Vue, it can be anything, right? And all we would be doing is we would be doing certain commands, say npm run build, which will be building your application, and it will generate the package, the minified version in the dist or in whatever folder it will generate. We'll pick that from there, and we'll ultimately deploy the changes onto the Azure Static Web Apps, and it will be ready for you. So I'll real quick revamp this. Like, we will build and host the static web apps. We will authenticate and authorize. We will allow the APIs to be powered by Azure Functions. We will want to see the CI/CD. I'm not going to teach a particular language. However, I'm going to showcase you how you can deploy applications to the Azure Static Web Apps. So time for the demo real quick. So I'm going here, and you can see here, this is the John Papa's shop at home repository. I'm going to fork it. I'm going to keep the name same, and I'm forking it. This is a application which is having all the samples, including Angular, React, Svelte, Vue, and it is having the API, which is nothing but the Azure Functions app, and it is having a couple of functions inside it. So I'll clone this application real quick. This is an empty folder with me. Okay, so I'll clone this. All right, so the application is cloned for me. Let's go and look into it. Shop at home, and I'll open it in Visual Studio Code. So in Visual Studio Code, you can get a lot of help if you have Azure Tools installed. If you're not having them, what you can do is you can look for here Azure Tools. So you can install them. I'm already having it installed. And you would also need to have extension as Azure Static Web Apps, which means you can directly start creating an Azure Static Web App with this. So this is app service. Let me look for the static web apps as well. I think I'm already having that also. This is the one. So this one is also installed, and then I need to do the sign in so that I can make changes. So since I have cloned this application, let's do a quick thing. I'll open the terminal here and let's try out. I'll go to the Angular application and we'll do an npm install. And we'll do npm start. I'm okay even if the API does not work, because the very first thing we want to do is we want to see that this application we can deploy. Okay, so this is the Angular application. It is building fine. Let's go and real quick do an npm build, npm run build, so that we can see where the application is generating the distributable package. There we go. So in the distributable package, we have under dist and Angular app. So the next thing we will be doing is to sign in into Azure. Since I am having the Azure Tools installed, so I will do Azure sign in here. So it will take me to the Azure portal and I'm signing in. So I'm signed in here. Once I'm signed in my Visual Studio Code, I can click on this Azure icon and I can see my subscriptions. So here I'm having the pay as you go subscription, which is not having anything yet. Okay, I can go and click on create, So I'll do here this thing. I will go to Azure, click on create. It says, okay, you want to commit? Yes, let's commit the changes. And it says, okay, what is the name of the static web app we want to keep? Let's keep it as global Azure demo, or let's call it stellar. And I'm going to choose a region as East Asia. The application can be anything, including the custom. You can choose anything. It doesn't matter. This is the location of your application from root. Since I want to deploy the Angular application, it is in the Angular-app folder. And this is relevant to your root folder. So my application will be built under dist/Angular-app that I showcased you. And once it is done, you can see here, it has started its job saying it is creating the new static web app. And it is doing all the heavy lifting for me. So it has set up the Azure actions, which I can showcase you here, as well as I can open it and I can see it here in this. So I can see what is happening here. So it is building my application. It has automatically set up the CI/CD for me, right? I just cloned an application and I built it. And then I simply said, I want to deploy it onto Azure. So it automatically created a workflow for me, created the CI/CD pipeline for me. Okay, so it is under progress. You can see it here as well. I'll close this one so that we can see it clearly. Okay, we'll wait for it to get deployed. Then I'll showcase you what and where the code is doing. We'll wait for this to complete. While it is building, let me showcase you what and how the code is working. So this is a typical Angular application, all right, which is just having plain static web app. Okay, and it is connecting to the API, as in, like, if I go here in the product service, so it is connecting to the same service. Okay, you can go to environments to see where the link will be created. It will go to /API. So we are going to deploy the Azure Functions in the API folder further. Okay, and since I have deployed it as a complete app, you can see the API folder. I'll showcase you that. And here, this is the API folder, which is nothing but a typical function app, Azure function app. Okay, it's making use of JavaScript. And like you can see here, this is making use of HTTP trigger, and it is a GET request. The route is discounts. Okay, and it will be like, if I call this API, it will be your URL /API/discounts. Similarly, I'm having multiple APIs here, which will be deployed alongside. And this is a part of all one app, which is Azure Function API. Okay. And all you need to do is you need to say func start to see this in action. All right. So here in this folder, you can see the workflows, which tells you how this application is getting recognized. So I'll go here. This is, for example, a workflow for React app. In the meantime, I have got the notification that successfully built and deployed global Azure, and you can now browse the website. So if I go here and I browse the website, you can see it is up and running and working. So I can go and I can go to my list. It is saying unauthorized. My discount, it is saying unauthorized. So I'll create an account. Let's say I want to log in with Twitter. So I'll click on Twitter, allow this Twitter application. So it will ask me the consent. So I say grant consent, and it has logged in. It has find out me saying welcome codestellar. And now if I go to my list, I would be getting the data as well. This is all static data, but this is how the API is working. So this data is actually coming from the API. So if I go here and if I go to say API/products, so this is my data which is coming from the function app. Okay, so this is all deployed onto one app. So let me showcase you where in Azure it has created everything. So we created global Azure Stellar as a resource group. And we will do a refresh. I know some of the participants have joined a little late, so I'll be repeating some of the content, like whatever I have showcased you in the presentation. So I'll showcase you that again. So you can see here.
Thank you.
Yeah, we can see here it is now it has deployed the Azure global Azure Stellar static web app. It has make use of this URL. You can go and connect it to the custom domain if required, right? You can add simply your custom domain. Let's say if I'm having, if I want to deploy a domain, say, I don't want to do the DNS mapping, but you can deploy your custom domain here. Okay. And all you need to do is just add your domain name and add a CNAME record in your DNS domain panel. And this is the Azure Functions that are connected with this. All right, hold on. So it will showcase us the functions. Let me showcase you this. We have not implemented this role management as of now. Show you. And let us see the hosting plan. Yes, this is important because I'm using a free hobby or personal project here. So up to 100 GB bandwidth. And even with the free version, you can associate your custom domain, which means literally you can run your own blog or a website for free, which will be a custom domain, right? So if anybody asks you, can I run my free website? Yes, you can run on github.io, but that would need the suffix of the domain. You can run on Blogger, but that will need a suffix of the domain. You can run on wordpress.com. That will need a custom, suffix of the domain. However, on Azure, you can run a website for free, can still add a custom domain. In fact, 2 domains for free with 100 GB bandwidth per subscription. And even if you have to launch it for the enterprise grade, it is super, super cheaper. And it is just 648 rupees per app per month. And it again, 100 GB per subscription is the bandwidth. So it will be, you will be saving a lot of money once you have shifted to the global Azure. So real quick, I'll take you through the walkthrough, going back for the people who have joined late. So I'll do a reverse what we have done. Like I said, Azure Static Web Apps is a service being provided by Microsoft, and it can be used to host your static web applications, whether you create it in the HTML, CSS, JavaScript, or in Angular or in React. We also learned, today, like we just deployed an Angular application. You can connect to the APIs using the function app, the serverless apps, and you can publish your website to Azure, which we did just a few minutes ago. We can do it again if required. You can leverage Visual Studio Code for everything. All I did was a couple of things. I made use of Visual Studio, and then I installed Azure Tools here. Then I installed Azure Static Web Apps. After installing Azure Static Web Apps, I enabled this extension and I signed in, simply saying Control-Shift-P and Azure sign in. Once you are signed in, you can go here to this Azure and you can see that your subscription would be there. You can click on this icon saying add static web app. And once you click on create static web app, you can deploy your application because it will ask you. I'll showcase this process again. We'll create another application. But prior to this, let me go to this presentation once again so that you can see and realize what we have been doing. So Like I said, Azure Static Web Apps does all the heavy lifting for you. You can host your static content onto the Azure Static Web Apps. You can still make use of Azure Functions. You can connect with the APIs, which can further connect to the databases, and you can get the data and you can populate it onto the Azure Static Web Apps. It does all the heavy lifting for you. We cloned an app and we just said create static web app, and it did everything for us. So, and we deployed this application. Like I said, this has been created by John Papa. We cloned his repository and we made a few changes, and then we deployed it. So the very first step that happened is we took the code from the GitHub, we pushed the changes to the GitHub, just npm install and package lock. The CI/CD was set up by Azure. The APIs were connected by Azure. However, there were Azure APIs already there in the function app. We set up I showcased you the routing in the function.json. I showcased you the SSL and custom domain mapping can be done. You can also do the authentication. You can implement the security roles, and you can also scale your application. Like your enterprise grade application will be very cost effective. So if you have an application which is making use of Angular, React, Next.js, Blazor, or Vue, Svelte, make use of Azure Static Web Apps, have the serverless architecture behind the scenes, and you would be running a fantastic enterprise grade application in almost no cost. So this is good for running your blogging applications. You want to run a small e-commerce application, you want to run an event management, any kind of application. So like I said, all you would need to do is bundle your application, build your application. It will generate the package for you, and it will be deployed by the Azure Static Web Apps. So, and I'll showcase you the code once again. Like we can build and host static web apps. We can authenticate and authorize. We can make use of Azure Functions. We can do the CI/CD, right? So I showcased you the application here. In our case, it is in the Angular app folder, and the API is still in the app folder. And you push the changes, and it runs the GitHub actions, and it deploys the static content as well as the API onto the same static web app. All right, so I'll demo it again to run app and API and authentication, and we'll do this heavy lifting again. All right, so I'll go to John Papa's GitHub again. So I took this. So this is the real repo that we took, and you can simply fork it. This time I want to say demo twice because I want to do it again. You can simply fork it. You can go through the code because it is having Angular, React, Svelte application. You can clone it on your system. So I'm going to do a clone once again, git clone, and you can then run your applications. So we did Angular application earlier. This time, let's try out doing another application. So I'll say shop at home, demo 2, and we'll do a code dots to open it in the Visual Studio Code. Since we are already signed in the Visual Studio Code here, so all I can do is I can open the terminal. Just right, I'll open the terminal here. Sorry for that. Here. Give me a moment. I can open it right here, and I can go to CD React app, and this time I'll do npm install. We'll bring the panel left. And we'll do npm audit fix. Oh, looks like there is some issue. And we'll check this React application once we build this, because earlier we built, so we can check it out here, yarn start. Oh, so I'm having just 10 minutes. So we'll be running out of time in the 10 minutes. Just showcase you this. This is how the React application will be running. And you can simply, once this application is here, what you can do is you can simply do another create React app. And you can go here and simply say create static app, and you will be done with your changes. If you are having any questions, do let me know. So similar way, you can do the commit changes. I'll do commit. And you can git push. So similar way, you can create a static web app here, and you can push your changes onto the Azure. Any questions? Let me know. And this is it for this session. I'll take a few minutes for the questions.
Yeah. Hello, can we host a C# code also?
You can host. So you the .NET Core function app you can host. Yes, it will be a function app, and for the front end you can have Blazor.
Okay.
Any other questions? All right.
Free is for the limited time period or for the
no, it is always
whole...
free. It is always free. Yeah. So I am actually like creating app again, just checking out if I run yarn build, where it will build this application. So if you have any questions, let me know. Otherwise, we'll be turning this session off in 7 minutes.
Hey Gaurav, is there any perfect use case for this? Like, means the difference between function app and static apps?
So you are running, so function app typically you use to create the APIs. However, the front end application like Angular, Ionic, like you are having a mobile application running, right? You do not need to have an app service. You do not need to buy an AWS machine. You can simply put it onto the Azure Static Web Apps, which can call any kind of APIs, right? Even if you are not having any API application, you can create those API applications into the function apps. So since we are like, typical example I'm giving you is nowadays progressive web apps and mobile applications like we are doing. For example, this is the one. So this kind of application can be done on Azure Static Web Apps.
Got it. Yeah.
So if I go here, like, any other questions? So I can see here it is, so in Angular, it creates the dist folder. In React, it has created the build folder. So you have to make, make note of that. So if I go and say React, so here I would need to say build, okay, and say okay. So it will create another application for me. So you can see here the actions. So it does all the heavy lifting for you. Let me know the feedback on this session. And if you have any more questions, let me know. Can we have real quick the videos turned on so that I can take a picture and we can, enjoy each other's company. Real quick, everybody, turn on your cameras. We have 5 more minutes. Thanks a lot for your participation in the session. All right, I'm waiting for the cameras to be turned on so that we can see everybody in the gallery. Good to see you, Ritesh. All right. Thanks, everyone. Hello, Sunny. I'll also share my screen once again. So you can see here the React application is building this time. So you can see here it is doing a yarn run build here, doing all the heavy lifting. So it is like if you have to start a fresh application, you have to deploy, make use of Angular, React, Vue, Svelte, and you have to call any kind of APIs. Azure Static Web Apps is the choice for you. You do not need to do much about it. And you can save a lot of money. You can still scale at enterprise grade, and you can actually run, like a heavy website as well on the Azure Static Web Apps.
If I have a website in a C#.NET Core, also a web and also a web API, can I host it in this or not? Or I can host only the API part?
No. So you can. So for this is particularly for the serverless architecture. You can write the C# code, but that C# code basically should be Azure function.
Okay.
So the front end application, so you can see here the application is built and deploy. That means we should be having another application available here, which is let me show you here in the Visual Studio Code. I can go here, can click on browse website. So this is the React application ready for me, right? So that one was Angular, this one is React, and I can make use of like this has given me a 401. Now I will log in, make use of this, right? I can, like I implemented this consent. I'll simply say grant consent and it will log me in, and it will find me. It says welcome codestellar and it will fetch the data. Right. So this is how simple it is. Like React application or Svelte application, you can build it in minutes.
Okay.
Right. All right, team. It was nice talking to you. This was Global Azure session, and we learned about Azure Static Web Apps. We also deployed Angular and React applications. We also connected Visual Studio Code to Azure, and we directly deployed the applications from here. And even we can see the applications in the static web apps once they are deployed. So if I go here, if I expand it, I should be seeing my web applications right here. I can go here and I can actually click on it, and directly I can browse the website from here as well. So I can directly click on here. I can say browse website and I can see the website. This is the Angular application I showcased. This is a React application I showcased. And thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It's a good session.
Yeah. Bye-bye.
Yep. Nice session, Gaurav.
Yeah. Thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.